What's going on, everybody? It's the Tom Rowland Podcast, brought to you by Brite. Brite is the maker of incredible cleaning products for your boat, your RV, whatever you have. I use it on my boat all the time, and you should definitely check it out. Great products from a great company. Today, we're going to go to meet with somebody that we did several podcasts with. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you may remember Taylor Somerville. He has something called Symmetry Live, I believe it was called, and now I believe it's called Symmetry Breath. And Taylor is someone who helps people to deal with stress and anxiety. On a corporate level, he's brought in to help employees of different companies develop stress management protocols, different things that you can do, and it all starts and ends basically, as far as he goes, with the breath. It's been about 3 or 4 years since we've talked, and I'm really interested to find out what he's been doing and how he's added to his routine. So I hope you'll enjoy this conversation with Taylor Somerville.
My name's Taylor Somerville, the founder of Symmetry, and this is the Tom Rowland Podcast.
Love it. Okay, cool. Taylor, what's up, man? It's been 4 years.
Oh, dude, doing well, Tom. Thanks for having me, man.
I'm really happy to have you. What's been going on for 4 years? The first time we had you on, we made contact, I think, because I was interested in XPT and the work that Laird Hamilton was doing, and somehow we got connected, and you have gone through a lot of that training. And we've done quite a few podcasts together a long time ago, but we lost contact. What's been going on?
That's right. Yeah. So let's see. I've done all the XPT stuff, still, coaching a lot of that work here, expanded it through other things that I'm doing at Memphis through my company Symmetry. Do a lot of corporate work, a lot of one-on-one and group coaching, help clients deal with stress. We help high-achieving busy people take back control of their lives, save more time, more energy, and less stress.
I love it.
We use breath as the foundation for everything we do, but also getting outside your comfort zone, understanding stress, the nervous system. Love the cold plunges and saunas. Still doing the pool workouts and things along those lines as well. Let's see. Since then, I've also had a little girl. I was sort of telling you, 10 months old, so that's
nice.
A whole different life change, and helping me put all my work into practice.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Are you taking your own medicine? Because having a 10-month-old, I've had 3 10-month-olds over the course of my life with my 3 children, and it can be somewhat of a stressful time in your life. Are you taking your own medicine?
Oh yeah, I have to put it into practice every day. It's trying to get to sleep. Luckily, she's been a pretty good sleeper, so that's helped. But just in general, trying to stay under control, staying calm and collected when everything goes awry. Because with a young one, the child care can go away. A lot of sickness. There's no telling what each day might bring. But it's been great. Loving it. I think
it's real interesting to hear that you're in a position of newly found stress, like 10 months old. So probably in the last year, when, maybe year and a half, when you find out that you're going to have a child, and then you actually have this child, and now you're kind of living life in this new world. You're experiencing life like a lot of your clients were, of kind of, I would assume, if you're like everyone else, I don't know, we're going to test out what Symmetry is all about here. But I would assume that there are moments of overwhelm. There are moments where you feel like, I don't know if I can handle this, or there's certainly moments where it's more than you bargained for. Let's just say that, right? So what I'm mostly interested in is how you're dealing with that, because I think a large part of the audience that listens to this are parents, dads, moms, in the same type of situation that you're in. But then you also have like all of these different clients that are coming to you to relieve stress, and it seems like we've got this world that we're living in right now, is particularly right now. Like you've got this upcoming election, whoever you're for in the election, whoever you're not for in the election, doesn't really matter. But right now, we're only a few months out. There's this serious time of uncertainty. People are like, look, it could be either one. I just don't know how to to react to the next 4 years. I don't know what's coming, right? There's a tremendous amount of uncertainty. So what you say that breath is the foundation. Kind of walk me through what you do with yourself in this new situation of having a young child, or customers, clients that come to you and are experiencing stress, anxiety in the world today.
Yeah, well, it kind of starts off, definitely have overwhelm, have those times where, hey, I think I'm not sure if I can handle what's going on. I think one of the things that's benefited me so far is I am 45, so I'm an old dad. That life experience, I think, helps. I thought about this a lot. I can't imagine if I would have had her when I was in my 20s, when most people tend to have kids. Whole different frame of reference for mine, and I think the tools that I have help me a lot. What we, working with clients and in general, what helps me is we try to use what we call like transitions in your day. Small little times, maybe it's between meetings on the way from home to work to home, using that time to shift your state, basically kind of getting out of a stress state, or just to allow you to come back and be present. So when you are with your family, with your spouse, with your kids, you can be there and be present. So you're not constantly thinking about what's going on at work. And when you're at work, you're not constantly thinking about what's going on with your family. So you're able to actually focus and, be in charge of yourself and do the best you can in those environments. When I say we use the breath as everything, the breath is the first thing we do. It's the last thing we do. And it's really the only system we have that can constantly change our mental and physical state. So focus a lot on, first working with clients, we're looking at how you're breathing, every day as you go throughout your day. You tend to be breathing in and out of your mouth, breathing into your upper chest. You have a higher respiration rate, which, if you look at a tracker, most of them track respiration rate now. I'm talking about at rest. If you're like 17 to 20 breaths a minute, that means you're just on a more chronically stressed level. So we work on repatterning those, getting breathing in through your nose as much as you can at rest during the day. We really should be doing that all the time at rest, unless you're eating or speaking, and then using the diaphragm better, breathing lower and breathing slower. Those are kind of the everyday breathing aspects that we focus on. And we work on your techniques to ground you. So wake up in the morning. Instead of just jumping into your phone or jumping into see what happened in the news, spend 5 minutes just connecting to your breath, taking control of your day instead of allowing the external events of the world to control you. So giving yourself some space, really at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, to help you get in front of everything instead of just being led around by whatever the latest thing in the news cycle is or social media, which, it happens to me too. Pull up the phone. Next thing I know, I'm scrolling through Instagram for 15 minutes and have no idea what happened with that. Or watching the news. It's very, very common. And so it's just about being cognizant and being aware of that. And once you kind of create awareness, one, also around what triggers you, what stress you out, you can learn how to take a little bit better control of that. And while it's always going to be there and it's always going to affect you, you're never going to get rid of stress and you don't want to. It's something we need. You can have better tools to manage it. So when you do get overwhelmed, maybe it doesn't last as long. You do fly off the handle or yell at your kids or get in an argument or somebody cuts you off and freak out a little bit. Maybe it doesn't last as long. You're able to kind of come back down much quicker and be a little kinder to yourself than you would have been in the past.
So you said 17 to 20 breaths a minute. Is that a lot? That's somebody that's breathing.
Yeah, that would be a much faster rate at rest. So if you're at rest, on average your respiration rate's about 13 breaths a minute. We really want to see it even a little bit slower, closer to like 10 breaths a minute, because you got to think about it. If you sat there and the person next to you is breathing fast, just sitting there, just kind of quick breaths, what are you thinking? Oh, that person might be dying effectively. They're using way too much energy to just have a natural process of the body. They're breathing way too fast. And we can, sit there and breathe like that and not even know it.
Right.
And so that's one of the kind of good things having these trackers these days can help you get an understanding of, along with things like your heart rate as well. Look at resting heart rate, things along those lines when you're working with clients too.
What's a way to if you notice that you are in a stressful situation or something, you notice that you are breathing faster than normal, or you notice that you're breathing into the upper part of your chest, which is like fight or flight. That would be the fight or flight response, like the shallow breathing. What's a way to kind of a practice where you can get to where you understand that, what's going on, and then you can change it? How do you coach people into doing that?
Well, first in understanding, we focus on just kind of creating awareness around your breath. So outside of those stressful situations, can you sit for like 5 minutes? We have recordings where you're just following your breath. Then maybe you'll tap into, can you feel your heartbeat? Creating some introspective awareness. So you can kind of, as you're laying there breathing, can you feel your heartbeat in and out? Can you kind of expand that awareness to a little bit outside of the body? Help you create what's going on inside, just understand it. And then, the more you can do this stuff outside of stressful situations, and we really start with a very basic breathing pattern, just breathing in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds. Not really trying to change much at all. Just, can you start doing that? Just balance breaths, equal inhale, equal exhale. Do that for 5 minutes to start. As that gets easier, you can kind of expand it out into some other techniques that we use, such as like triangle or box, where you're creating holds at the top and the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're in a stressful situation, big thing we focus on is, for one, you got to get control of your breath. So, if you feel yourself kind of rapidly breathing in and out of your mouth, take a couple of breaths in through the nose, out of the mouth, and then focus on slowing it down. So, talking about kind of like a strong, powerful breath, be like a, do 2 or 3 of those, and then slow it down, slowly in through the nose, slower out of the mouth. That long, slow exhale helps calm the nervous system, helps your mind, body realize, all right, everything's under control, and we can start calming down a little bit. And let the stress just ease out. We got a technique we call SOS breathing that basically kind of walks you through that for about 10 breaths, where we're focusing on getting control and then slowing it down.
Yeah. I first learned about breath work probably at SEAL Fit. When I was at SEAL Fit, Mark Devine is a breath advocate, and he taught us box breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And on box breathing, like you had made reference to it before, it's something that you do also, but you would breathe in for a number of seconds, 3 or 5 seconds. You hold for 3 or 5 seconds. You would breathe out for 3 or 5 seconds. Then you would hold for 3 or 5 seconds. So you're kind of doing it like a box, and you're kind of envisioning a box or whatever. But man, I had this, there's been a couple of different things. My wife just recently had a hip replacement, and I was so concerned about her. I was so worried about her. I was sitting in a hospital, which a hospital never makes you feel good, ever. Like everyone around you is like, everybody's, except for the nurses and the doctors, they seem to be, pretty at peace there. But everyone else is kind of on edge, because you're either coming to visit somebody that's not doing as well as they should be, or they've just had a traumatic thing. I don't know. It's just kind of a place that kind of inspires angst for me anyway. And so my wife goes in, and I just sat there, and I knew that the surgery was they had forecast that the surgery would take between an hour and a half, for her to get all, back to the surgery room, being prepped, and then actually to go under the knife and then get her hip transplant. I keep calling it a transplant, hip replacement. And I was just so worried about her. And so I went back to that technique of box breathing. And, because I didn't want to do Wim Hof breathing or anything, but with the box breathing, you could just kind of sit there. You could close your eyes if you want to, but you're not nobody's noticing even what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I did that for like an hour, and it just, everything went away. All the angst, all of the worry. I mean, I was still worried about her, but I was in a clear head, and it had been a long time since I had done box breathing for that period of time. And I got to say, it was pretty awesome, looking back on it, because it just totally, everything, the heart rate comes down, all the angst, all the anxiety goes away. And I don't even know why necessarily I didn't think about doing it, but I got in that situation. I'm like, okay, I need to take some breaths, and I take some deep breaths, and then I start thinking, okay, well, I could just do this box breathing. Is that something that, I mean, did I just kind of do that right? Or is that something that you, when you're suggesting to somebody triangle breathing or box breathing, is it in those type of situations like that? Or is there something better that somebody could do?
It can be great for situations like that. Even box breathing, like maybe you have a presentation to do. Doing it 5 to 10 minutes before going into that presentation just to clear your mind and get out of the kind of worrying, everything that's going to happen. I think you say you just kind of went back to it, and that's just because you've done this stuff for years. And so it becomes somewhat of a second nature, and you just naturally go back to it. I mean, that's one of the things with box breathing. You mentioned your heart rate lowered. It's shown if you do 5 to 10 minutes of box breathing a day for 4 weeks, shows a significant drop in blood pressure, just as much as taking blood pressure medication.
Wow.
While I'm not a doctor, I would say that that's a thing you do. Like when you're going into the doctor's office as you're about to take your blood pressure, and you're waiting for the nurse, sit there and do some box breathing. You can feel your heart rate drop. You can feel yourself kind of calming down, even after just a few minutes. Now, if you've never done it before, it's not going to work as fast. It's like anything. The more reps, the better muscle memory you have, the easier it is to do in those difficult situations. So that's why we're big on, working on it outside. So then when that happens, you can come back to it. Make it second nature.
When we were first talking, you were telling me about some of the changes that you've done in the last few years. And I mean, I think at the beginning, when we were connecting before, it seemed like you maybe, and maybe I'm wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me like you were maybe a little more skewed to the workout and fitness side. And it seems like today, maybe you're a little bit more skewed to the breathing, relieving anxiety and kind of, I don't know. Am I reading that correctly?
So I got into all of these techniques because I was in the investment business for 15 years. Went through divorce in 2014, so a decade ago, and that kind of made me find stuff to help me deal with anxiety and stress. Really kind of got into the breathing techniques, like the Wim Hof, found XPT, some of the Mark Divine Seal Fit stuff, and was doing that and realized how much it allowed me to control my stress response. And then kind of, going through that whole change, really got into the fitness and workout side, and I'm still real into that. Don't work on it as much with clients anymore. Now it's more the stress management, especially in the corporate setting or in our group coaching. That's our focus. We do some of the workout stuff. And I still do some extreme things together. I told you I just got back from Leadville helping some friends run that race. I was crewing and pacing, and I did that, did the full thing a couple of years ago. So I'm still into that. But my focus now is helping people deal with stress, helping them change new habits, create new mindsets, improve their sleep. There's a lot of people out there.
I have a few of those things already on the list to talk about, the sleep and stuff. But how are people finding you? Like you mentioned corporate and you're going and working with some businesses, I would imagine. But is that how people are finding you, or is it mostly through the corporate world, or people going individually? From word of
mouth and from our clients, and sharing. Either they have been coming to us for years, and then share it with their company, or they're bringing, their executives, and they're kind of bringing us in to work. And, we do a few different ways on the company side where we'll come in and do full workplace wellness, where we come and meet every month, helping your employees better manage stress, build and create new habits, because a lot of problems as we all learn new things and try to incorporate them. Most people just do it for a couple of weeks and then it kind of goes away and they're back to doing the same thing. So how can you create lifetime sustainable habits with this? Focus on sleep, do some basic stuff on nutrition and movement, but more of an understanding of just some things you need to create in your life. So those are some areas. And we also do some blood testing as well, just so, if you don't have an idea of where you are inside, it can, a lot of things can creep up on you. So we're big on the corporate side and some of our coaching.
What are you looking for in the blood tests? On the blood work, what are you particularly, what
we're
markers
trying to
are you
look
looking
for? Kind of a baseline of, are they deficient in anything like vitamin D, magnesium? Most people need to supplement on those things. Do they have something that's elevated and thrown out? We use Inside Tracker, so it can kind of tell you a lot of the things out of the gate, gives you a great dashboard and things you need to do on your own. We have a partnership right now. We use them. And if it is something that is, out of whack, maybe cholesterol or some, could even be some other blood work, anything from glucose, HbA1c, maybe they need to go see a doctor about it and get further testing or talk to someone that has a little bit, more of an expert in that area. But at least you can find out about it and have a baseline and then see what, know, because a lot of people continue to just kind of blow that off. And, especially the older you get, if you're not looking at anything like that, then it can, a lot of bad stuff can just kind of creep up on you. So,
well, some people, there are a lot of people in this world that are not athletes. They weren't athletes in high school. They haven't done very many athletic things. And so I wonder that to me, just even saying that about not doing very many athletic things makes me anxious immediately, thinking what life would be like if I didn't move, if I wasn't active and working on my mobility and doing crazy workouts and things. But they don't have to be crazy workouts. Just taking a walk can be amazing. But if you are kind of in tune with your athletic body, then you understand kind of how breathing works. If you've never done anything athletic or competitive, then I think a lot of this would be new to a lot of people, like that you can influence your state through your breath. Do you see that with many people, like in the corporate world, where they're not really, like the business is bringing you in, the corporation is bringing you in and saying, here, can you work with our people? Some of those people wouldn't necessarily sign up for this. Like they're there because they kind of need to be or have to be, or this is offered and maybe it'll do something. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, you're seeing so many people across a wide spectrum of athletes and non-athletes. How are people kind of embracing the idea that breath can help you with stress and anxiety?
Well, you always have those people who are sitting there and you can see it on their face that they just have to be there. They don't want to be there. So part of what we do is always create experiential acts. We put them through breath techniques as part of it. So we will typically present a lot of stress, nervous system, kind of what happens when we get stressed out in the mind and the body, and go through why the breath, and then put them through some breathing techniques. And typically,
like what would be one that you would put them through? Let's go through
we might use box breathing. We'll
Okay.
kind of go through a host. Maybe we even have them hold their breath just out of the gate and feel that stress trigger build up. And as that CO2 builds up in your system, your brain starts sending alarm bells. And it's a great way to understand, oh man, this is, obviously this is like our body's number one goal is respiration. So that CO2 builds, stress starts to build in the system. Maybe we have them breathe rapidly in and out of the mouth and the upper chest for 15, 20 seconds and just sit and feel how that makes them feel. Maybe a little anxious, a little jittery, and then can go to some calmer breathing like box breathing so you can feel yourself calm down, and some exhale focused breathing as well. And then we will leave them with 3 techniques that they can take, typically something to help with sleep, something to do before meeting, and something kind of like in the moment of stress relief as well.
Yeah, I want to go over those 3 that you leave them with, but before we do that, I want to talk about sleep, because so many people that are stressed, like their stress is exacerbated by their lack of sleep or inability to sleep. And some people, when they lay down, their mind starts going a million miles an hour and they can't slow it down. Like, what do you suggest there, and how important is sleep? I mean, I know how important it is, and a lot of people that are listening to this, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, in these last 4 or 5 years of doing this, where do you rank sleep as far as like overall wellness and health?
It is probably number one. If you're not sleeping great, everything else is going to have problems. People think that, I can sleep for 5-6 hours a night. Maybe you can, but you're in like the 0.001% if that's the case. You see a host of metabolic issues come up, pre-diabetes, things like that from poor sleep. Your brain doesn't clear out the lymphatic system, so flush hormones and things from our body, which can lead to Alzheimer's and diabetes. You're more emotional. You process your emotions while you sleep in your REM sleep. That's how you consolidate memory. That's how your body repairs. So It's basically when we're sleeping, we're allocating our energy to things that are going to repair our system. And when we're awake, we're allocating energy to things that are kind of breaking us down. So if we're always breaking down, eventually what's going to happen? The whole thing's going to break down. So sleep is extremely important. And, we find everybody kind of struggles with it in some way. What just kind of some important aspects are, think about like following the light. So sun comes up in the morning, go outside, see the sun. Don't have to stay at a certain angle, just get outside and see the sun for a little bit in the morning. When the night comes, start turning the lights down at home. Start getting off screens about an hour before you're at. Try not to do anything that's going to be like super engaging and create your mind to go into that. You don't want to check emails for work right before you go to bed, because what's going to happen? You're just going to continue thinking about that.
Right.
So kind of following the light, create a routine. If you struggle to go to sleep, we just some slow, calming breathing for 5 minutes. Could be reading a book. Could be stretching and mobility work, like you mentioned. That's a great way to kind of downregulate the nervous system as well. Watch things like, are you eating big meals close to the time you want to go to bed? Your body shouldn't be digesting food as you go to sleep. So it's going to start telling your body, all right, I need to stay awake. Alcohol, that's going to, while it might put you to sleep, it's not going to give you good sleep. And you can easily see that if you use like a tracker. Those are some of the kind of the best things to kind of think about best practices. Really big on trying to get the phone out of the bedroom, off of screens about an hour before bed, and creating some routine and consistency. If you're going to bed at 8 o'clock one night, midnight the next, and you're going back and forth, your body doesn't know what goes on. Our nervous system is a predictive machine. It's constantly trying to figure out what's going to happen, how it needs to allocate energy, where it needs to conserve energy. So if it doesn't know your natural schedule, it's going to be hard for you to sleep well.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned that sleep was number one. I'm wondering how you would rank these things as far as sleep being number one. Let's say sleep, nutrition, exercise, supplements, mobility, and stress reduction, or just overall stress. I can repeat them if you want.
So I would let you
say sleep's number one.
Stress reduction and stress management is obviously, if you're moving and you're eating well and you're sleeping well, your stress is going to be less. Your ability to manage your stress. Because as I said, I don't really think about trying to get rid of stress. We don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We want stress. It's just being able to manage it properly. And those three things are great. If you're not moving at all, get up, make sure you're walking 8,000 steps a day. That's big. That's also going to help improve your sleep. If you're eating a bunch of processed foods, shift. I would say those are like the top three. And then what was your stress management? I think incorporates those.
Yeah. So right now you've got sleep, stress management is number 2, exercise is number 3, I'm assuming. Then we got nutrition, supplements, and mobility.
I would put the mobility in with the exercise. They should be together. Our bodies are going to kind of a use it or lose it all around. So if you're not able to get down and do a deep squat, it's going to be harder to pick up things up off the ground and get up and stand up as you get older. More likely to fall over and break a bone as you get older. So I put the movement, mobility is like one category. They need to go together.
Okay.
For sure. Supplements, I look at supplements as kind of the last thing.
Okay.
Big on try to get the basics down first. I think in our environment nowadays, people tend to major in the minors more than anything, especially if you're watching Instagram or health influencers and they got certain protocols and supplements. Those might help you, but you need to be doing the other stuff first. If you're not doing that, then you're just kind of wasting your time and energy. So eat real food. I'm big on, lots of protein, fruits and vegetables, hydrate, drink lots of water, get your sleep in, make sure you're moving every day. And that's not just your 1 hour of working out. Something that we see a lot is even with people who are pretty fit and, go to the gym every day. That could be the only movement they have. and that's not really good either. You need to make sure you're getting up, walking, moving around. As you go throughout your day, you can't just sit at the desk all day long. You need to have some other active movement as whether it's getting up every 90 minutes, kind of take a walk, something along those lines. But you got to be active throughout the day, and that's where those supplements are last. And that the older I've gotten I used to try almost every supplement I could get my hands on. Now I keep it down to as few as possible.
As few as possible,
as little as I can.
Right. I'm with you there, and I think that you can get most of it from real food if you're actually eating it. But I do find that there are several, and you've already mentioned a couple of them are already. But I do find that there's several that it seems like a lot of people are deficient in, and if you're not getting your blood work done, maybe it's good to, I don't know, I can just tell a difference for example, if I'm getting enough sunlight and I'm manufacturing enough vitamin D. You get in the wintertime, it's really dreary out, you're not going outside as much, supplement with vitamin D. I do, personally.
Yeah.
And I feel better about it.
Vitamin D. I think most people, vitamin D, magnesium, creatine, all tend to be, I think, kind of go-tos that most everybody could use, and it's not going to really harm you. Fish oil is another one. You just want to make sure you have a good quality brand there, because if you're taking rancid fish oil, it's doing more harm than good. Which is with a lot of supplements. You want to make sure you have good quality brands that you're taking.
Yeah, that's a trick, man, of knowing which ones are good and which ones aren't. I don't even know how you would even tell. It's like it's so much marketing. And then you're just you have to just put trust in some. But I read this book. Do you know James D. Nicolantonio? Do you know that guy? Do you know who he is?
I don't know.
So his name is James D. Nicolantonio. It's a long name, but it's Dinic. O.L. Antonio, D. Nicolantonio. And he wrote this book. You would really like this book, I think. It's called Win. And he also wrote one called The Salt Fix and another one called The Mineral Fix. And he's got several called Something Fix. But then he's got one that's called Win. And it's about competitive athletes and all these different studies that have been done on athletes as far as like supplementing sodium, electrolytes, sauna. There's a big chapter on sauna in there and becoming heat adapted for athletes. But one of the things that he goes through in there, and this guy's a pharmacist, and he has he's a tremendous researcher. And the back of the book is about 150 pages of references. So the book is like intensely referenced. And one of the things that I liked about that book so much is he has like the top 5 supplements ranked in order of data. And it's like beta-alanine, protein powder, creatine. Well, creatine's number 1. Like creatine is like the most researched supplement with the most, what do they call it? Effectiveness, efficiency. What do they call that? Efficacy.
Yeah.
Like the efficacy of creatine has been studied and proven that is like the most effective supplement that you can take. And then beyond that, it goes down and down and down to like, this might work. I don't know. It has shown some benefits, but there's like 5. There's like L-citrulline, beta-alanine, L-carnitine, protein powder, and creatine. I think those are the ones that he says, without a doubt, the research shows that these actually do what they're supposed to do. And then beyond that, maybe they work. But he just goes through so much data. You should really check that book out. Win.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
It's thick. It's about 600 pages, but you will probably read it like I did. I almost read that thing in one sitting. I loved that book. I used to have it down here. I don't know where it is. I'll show it to you, but great big book. But he's a good follow on Instagram too. He usually puts a bunch of his stuff out there. But the magnesium is another one that just helps me sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I take magnesium every night before I go to bed.
I take it before I go to bed as well.
Do you have a type of magnesium? There's a lot of different types of magnesium. I think like 5 different types of magnesium.
I've used the bio-optimizers, which is like all 7 forms. I've used that brand for years now.
Yeah.
I think I first heard about it maybe from Mark Devine, actually, on podcast years ago. And I started taking that and I've just kind of stayed with it. I've tried some other ones, and I feel like that one has done the best for me, and also doesn't cause any gastrointestinal issues.
Right.
Some magnesiums can mess you up if you're not careful.
That's very true. You know what's kind of funny is like we ranked these things from 1 to 5 as far as the most important. And then we gravitate, even just you and me, just sitting here talking, we gravitate to the one that we both said was the least important, the supplements. And it's like everybody's looking for a magic pill, right?
That's
everybody's
right.
looking for this one thing. But when you rank these others as the most important, sleep being the most important, stress management being the second most important, exercise and mobility the third, nutrition and hydration the fourth, and then supplements being the fifth, so many of those things build, in my experience, they build on one another. Like if you're not sleeping well, you're going to have more stress.
Yep.
If you have a lot of stress, you're not going to sleep well. If you aren't getting any exercise, you're not going to sleep well, and you're going to have more stress.
That's right.
It's like that's like a group of things.
And then it's going to cause you to eat worse.
Right. Yes. And then if you're eating bad, then you're gonna have more stress. You're not going to sleep well. You're not. I don't know, then you get overweight, and then like so many things. It just goes in this big circle and the cycle of like, if you can try to, and I guess that's what you're doing with your clients is like trying to break that cycle and trying to get people to understand that you can take control over so many of these things, stress being one of them. And sometimes the stress is coming not from the external things in your life, but from the things that you're doing within your life. Like you're not sleeping well. Why are you not sleeping well? Because you're not getting any exercise. Why are you not exercising? Because you don't feel like it, because it hurts, right? So exercise and mobility and all that stuff, I don't know, it all just kind of goes together. But I don't know that it's certainly a rare group of people that understands that they're all tied together and that you can actually do something about it.
The mind-body connection is real. One of the things we talk about a lot too is what are the stories you're telling yourself? What is that mindset? Are you telling yourself, I don't want to exercise, I can't exercise, I can't do XYZ? Putting people in ice baths. People say, I don't like the cold. Well, is that you really not like the cold, or have you just been telling yourself your whole life because when you were a little kid, your parents said something about the cold and that just stuck with you, and now you don't like the cold? So it's all just can you reframe your mindset around the stories that you tell yourself and then create some change around it? And I think that's a big thing. And that's also in stress. If you view stress as detrimental, it's going to hurt you. It's going to. If you view it as just something that you need to grow and live and that it makes you better, then it's going to do that. So, our mind is very powerful in that way.
How are you incorporating ice into your program, either for your clients or for yourself?
Well, we run sessions here where we're doing, 3 rounds in the sauna, 3 rounds in the ice. I do run a few sessions here. We have people who come and do this every week. We also do private work, whether it's kind of team building, corporate, or somebody just want to have their friends. And then in our group coaching, and some of our workplace wellness, if they're Memphis based, that could be a part of it, because it's also about building community. I think, it's a great thing to do, but doing it in a group with others is even better. When you get into a little shared suffering in the ice, and then you get in the sauna, which a lot of people think, the sauna is great, it's easy. Our sauna is like 220, 230 degrees. So in Memphis, Tennessee, in August, the sauna is way harder than ice. But you get in there and, people start talking and things come out. You can meet great people. So there's a big community building out aspect of it. You have all the physical benefits. Sauna is like one of the best things you can do for your long-term health. Also, like you mentioned, the performance on heat adaptation and some heat training is great for endurance. And good for your immune system, your cardiovascular system. But I'm really big on the aspect of for one, if you don't like it necessarily, doing something a little bit uncomfortable, learn how to control your breath, control your stress response, breathe your way out of it, and realize, all right, that wasn't that bad. I can put myself in stressful situations, and I can learn, and I can grow from it. And as you get done, we do a session, 3 rounds. By the end of it, maybe it was tough at the beginning. You're usually feeling really good at the end. You got the dopamine and endorphins kicking, and that's going to last a little while. So, we mainly use it in those settings. And then personally, and I do it a few times a week. I'm not big on doing it every day necessarily, but I do it a few times a week. I've gone through periods.
Do you do it more?
Done every day.
Yeah, I was wondering if you do it more for the benefits of the mind or benefits of the body.
I do it mainly for the mind. And I'm working with clients. I'm big on the mental aspect of doing it. I think that's
what I thought too. I mean, I've listened to so many of these things, and the ice training has gotten way more popular, and then I think it's kind of actually fallen off in popularity a little bit lately. But always people are like, why do you do that? And I'm like, well, a lot of times I'm really sore, and it does help me to feel a lot better, and it's for a while I was going through something with my knee, and I don't know what it was, but basically it's gone now, and it definitely helps me feel better. But for the most part, that and the Wim Hof breathing for the mind, like it's not necessarily for the body, it's for the mind. And there's something about looking at that ice and just not wanting to get in it, and then getting in it, and then I love the going from the ice to the sauna. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is like one of the greatest things ever. I wonder, you say you do 3 rounds. How long are you going in the sauna and the ice each one? What is your rounds?
Sauna,
what do they look like?
We typically, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe a little longer. Ice, like 3 to 5.
Yeah.
When I'm running groups, it's typically about 15 minutes in the sauna, 3 minutes in the ice.
Do you still have your sauna on a trailer?
Yeah, I still have one on the trailer. Don't try not to take it anywhere.
That's so cool, though. When you were doing that, I thought that was just so cool, man. Yeah.
And I still have that same sauna. Gonna hopefully upgrade here in the next year or so. There's a lot of new models out. I've had that thing since 2018. It's gotten a lot of use out.
And that's the one that do you have more than one?
No, I just have one still.
How many people can get in that thing?
We get 8 people in there. It's
nice.
a tight fit, but it's good. Get 8 people, and then I have 3 different cold tubs. I have the old school trough. I have an ice barrel 300, and I have a cold plunge that's constantly going.
So you should come to my house too, because I got a similar thing. I've got a big sauna that was, it's a big sauna because it was my daughter's playhouse, and
nice.
She never played in it. I built this thing for her, or had it built for her. I'm not good enough carpenter to build it myself, but I had it built for her, and she came back and she looked at it when she was a little girl, and she didn't really like it. Now she is a sauna fan, and she goes in the sauna all the time now. So anyway, I converted this into a giant sauna. I could probably put 25 people in there.
Oh wow,
it's
that's
big.
Awesome.
And I've got a huge heater in there, and it will also get really hot, like what you're talking about, like 225. And then it's got 2 layers, so you can have it super hot. But if you get on the top,
it's just
shelf, whoo, it's hot. But then I got a Yeti 350, which is really nice because I can close the top and nothing gets in it.
Yeah.
And then I got like the horse trough thing too. But I love going from the ice to the sauna, back to the ice, back to the sauna. And I've been doing this thing where it's like like you'll stay, when I'm really going good, it'll be 10 minutes in the ice, and then 20 minutes in the sauna, then 5 minutes in the ice, and then 10 minutes in the sauna, 2 minutes in the ice, and then I'll do usually another 10 minutes in the sauna, but kind of like a almost twice as much.
Yeah.
Like almost twice as much sauna.
10 minutes in the
but
ice.
I love that feeling. Well, it is, and I don't even know if it's good for you. Wouldn't recommend it to anybody. But,
yeah, you got to be pretty cold adapted. If it's cold enough, if it's in its 30s, you definitely be cold adapted for that.
It's cold. It's very cold because I also have an ice machine. So the ice machine if you put eight 5-gallon buckets of ice in the 350. And then fill it up with water. It's good. But I'm kind of a wimp about putting my shoulders under the water. I don't like that's like
get their shoulders under.
If I went all the way up to my neck, I wouldn't be able to stay in for 10 minutes, I don't think. I mean, maybe in a survival situation or something, but it certainly wouldn't be fun. But I love that where you're just so cold and you get back in the sauna, and then that moment where you turn from cold to now you're sweating. That's the greatest.
Feels
it's the
great.
Greatest thing ever. I don't know if it's good for you or not, but it's great. I know that's what I'm supposed to do. It depends on, is it winter or summer? And is it cold outside? I don't know. I mean, typically I like the sauna a lot more than I like the ice. Just as a nature, I would rather be hot than cold. Mm-hmm. And so typically I'll probably end with the heat, although at the last thing I'll like splash and
just like
do the whole
ice.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
Yeah, we always
don't like it.
Cold. I tell people, just let your body warm up naturally at least for a little bit, then you can go home and take a warm shower.
Right.
So you can heat back up. Because some people, body fat adaptation can take a while. But loving it on cold, I feel like it kind of seals everything in. And another thing with the cold and the heat is if you do sleep poorly, it's a great way to kind of help reset your circadian rhythm. Cold in the morning and heat at night is a good way to kind of tell your body, all right, it's time to start waking up. As the way your temperature should rise. If you get yourself cold in the morning, it's going to kind of shock you a little bit, and then it's going to, the way your temperature will increase will kind of help set your circadian rhythm, and then your temperature drops at night. So if you do the sauna at night, it kind of is going to help give a boost to that cooling off process, which is going to help sleep too.
Well, that could help a lot of people there. I know that I remember reading in Tim Ferriss's book that he suggested either a cold shower or an ice bath before bed made him sleep like, really good. But that doesn't. That seems like it would rev me up. Yeah, it would, I think that would wake me up.
It wakes most people up, and if you just look at the way our temperature is kind of one of the gauges on how we sleep and everything. It's when it's the signals that we get. Digestion, movement, temperature, and light are like the four aspects of how our body kind of gets set into sleep. So our temperature rises all day long and then peaks later in the evening and starts to go down as you're going to sleep. As you're kind of cooling off, which makes sense because you're at rest, your body shouldn't be as hot, so your temperature should come down regularly a little bit. And so you can just kind of kickstart that in the morning with the cold and at night with the sauna.
Yeah, I mean that sounds awesome. So many people have a hard time sleeping. I think that if you could just kind of, if anybody could take anything away from this conversation, would be an aid to kind of falling asleep a little bit faster. So we talked about the three things that you leave people with, and one of them being how you can sleep better. I know that Laird Hamilton in the XPT breathing thing that I did to pass that certification or whatever, he talked about it was the 7 count breath before you go to sleep was really important. And he even said in there, I don't really know why 7 is like the number, but 7 or more for this breathing in and then breathing out 7 seconds or whatever. But anyway, maybe I'm not remembering it exactly right, but can you tell us how you help people to kind of, if their mind is racing and they're kind of thinking about a lot of things when they're about ready to go to sleep, what kind of breathing protocol can you give somebody to help them to clear their mind and maybe fall asleep a little faster?
Yeah, so I like an exhale focus, meaning longer exhale over the inhale. So inhale, say for a count of 3, hold at the top for a count of 3, exhale for a count of 6. Start there and then just gradually extend it out. So then maybe you go 4, 4, 8, 5, 5, 10. And as you kind of extend it out, your body's just going to continually calm down, and usually you'll fall asleep before you know it.
So when you're saying
other,
4-4-8, explain that one more time. So
so
you're
you start
breathing
out,
in
you
for
breathe in
4
for 3,
seconds.
you hold for 3 seconds, you breathe out for 6 seconds.
Yes.
Then you gradually go to in for 4, hold for 4, out for 8, in 5, hold 5, out 10. That can be, if you've never done it, it can be a little bit more difficult. Most people can do 3 seconds inhale, 3 second hold, 6 seconds exhale, and just kind of, as you become comfortable, you start slowing it down even more. It can just kind of wean you off to sleep.
Now, in your opinion, does it matter if you're doing it through your mouth or your nose,
need
or
to be
a
definitely
combination of
breathing in
both?
through your nose. Want to be, the
In through
inhale
your
needs
nose.
to be in through your nose, the exhale can be out of the mouth.
Okay.
And then another thing that we really like a lot is non-sleep deep rest, also called yoga nidra, which is basically progressive relaxation, kind of go in and helps put your body.
So explain that. What that is.
A lot of people do it in the middle of the day as a way to kind of get like a quick nap. It basically can take your brain almost down into those delta waves where it's like a deep sleep, but it's shown to improve sleep latency, so your ability to go to sleep quicker. Usually what you're doing is you're just, kind of slow breathing, and then you're walking through like visualizing the room you're in, and then kind of taking that visualization from external into internal, where you're kind of slowly relaxing body parts. And then you kind of take it back to external. And it also helps.
And people don't fall asleep when they do that? I would put me to sleep so fast.
You're ideally not supposed to fall asleep, but some people, it's good. You can do it right before going to bed and you'll fall asleep.
See, my mom told me how to do that when I was a kid. I don't think she certainly didn't call it that, but she said, imagine yourself laying here and imagine that you're made out of wax. And then imagine this warm candle under your feet that's just barely melting your feet.
Like
and then imagine that it's going all the way up your legs, and you'll never make it past your hips. Like you never, it's just like when you can kind of visualize your feet melting, you're asleep immediately. Yeah. But she used to tell me that, and then I told that to my friend Joe Hippensteel, and he was like, she was so far ahead of her time. That's called this and that, and I don't know if she knew what she was doing or not, but it stayed with me my whole life. And like anytime I have any trouble going to sleep, I do that. And it's kind of like what you're talking about relaxing body parts. But if you imagine that, if that's a something that is like, I guess if you live in the desert, and you're dealing with hot temperatures all the time, maybe it would be more relaxing to think about something cold. I don't know. But if you're in a place where kind of warm feels good to you and you imagine melting, then that definitely works. But some people start at their head and work down. Other people start at their feet and work up. It's not scientific, and my mom was probably just trying to get me to go to sleep. But it worked. It worked really good. And then it's one of those things that stayed with me my whole life. Like, I don't know. But hearing you say it, it's like the same principle of like relaxing body parts, breathing, imagining different things. You're allowing your mind to go quiet, and you're imagining just relaxation, which is kind of cool.
And it just helps down-regulate the nervous system, which a lot of people have difficulty doing anyway in this day and age.
Yes, well, and particularly today. All right, so the last couple of podcasts have been gone like this, where we just get started and we have a nice conversation. But there is a part of the podcast where we're supposed to laugh, and I'm supposed to ask you these funny questions that maybe would give us something to talk about in the case of the guest not being so talkative. But the last few podcast guests have all been good conversationalists like yourself, so we've just gotten into it. But anyway, this is called the hot seat, and I'm going to ask you this series of questions, and then we're going to end with a couple of other questions that you can give us your opinion on. All right, so a movie that makes you laugh.
What about Bob?
One thing you don't go a day without doing.
Breathing.
True. Would you have a reptile as a pet?
No.
3 non-negotiables in your life.
Oh, let's see. 3 non-negotiables. Quality time with my wife and little girl. Movement. And always cheer for Alabama. full time.
Nice. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Text or call?
Text.
Workout in the water or out of the water?
In the water.
The most misunderstood thing in fitness or health?
That everything has to leave you dead in a pool of your own sweat, or it's not a good workout.
Coffee, tea, or energy drink?
Coffee.
One thing that you've changed your mind on in the last 2 years?
Not that everything doesn't have to be, I guess so strict, but you got to find what works for you.
Okay. Cuban food or Mexican food?
Mexican.
One common misconception. Well, we did that on health. One piece of advice that you rely on often?
Remember who you are.
Okay. Has there been a book that you liked so much that you've given it as a gift?
Oh man, there's quite a few, but one of the ones that I like now is The Daily Dad by Ryan Holiday.
Okay. I like Ryan Holiday's stuff. I hadn't read Daily Dad, but I certainly read, what was it? Ego is the Enemy. That was one of his
it's a
first.
nice, he's got the book Daily Stoic. It's something you can read every morning, and it's all geared towards parenting.
Well, I like that. That's definitely, I'll have to look into that. We'll put it on the book club. Okay. So, just a couple of questions that we'll end on. So I'm wondering, like in the last, since we talked last time, what have you added to your program for you or your clients, and why have you added that? Have you changed anything that you're doing that you find really productive in either stress management or fitness or health?
Well, I'd say, I've always been into breathing. Back when we first started talking, it was probably more of the kind of like Wim Hof, that type of breathing, where now I go much more towards slow, conscious breathing. Most people are already very activated and, on that sympathetic side. So trying to take them the other way right out of the gate. And then the really big focus on everyday breathing, what I mentioned earlier, breathing lower, breathing slower through the nose, as kind of the first gateway, and making that shift almost before doing anything else. Those are the two of the big things that we've done over the last few years.
Okay. And then do you, are you doing anything in particular with mobility and stretching?
We have some tools that we use, and we have stuff to open up, like help with diaphragmatic breathing, open up the rib cage. I have a coach who works with me, Lauren Vestal. She's a yoga teacher, and so she's kind of put together some stuff that we use on that, and we'll incorporate some yoga with our groups sometimes as well. So I think it's big. I do mobility every morning. I think I even have my mobility routine on our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
I think
what's your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I think it's important to open up. Try to get all your joints moving as much as possible, especially as you get older. If you're not using the full range of motion, your body's going to take it away.
Yeah, use it or lose it. That's for sure. What's your YouTube channel?
It's at Symmetry Breath.
Okay, we'll link that.
I can send it.
We'll link that. So, what do you think? As far as like you help a lot of people, and a lot of people that are in different places. Some of you don't even want to be there, and then other people are seeking you out on. So you have two different ends of the spectrum there. What do you think is something that anybody that's listening to this could do to improve their health and well-being?
Start becoming aware of your breath. Notice it as you're going through your day. Notice.
I like it.
Are breathing in and out of your mouth. Just naturally as you're sitting there as you're driving your car. Maybe you're sitting and scrolling on Instagram, or you're answering emails. Are you holding your breath? It's actually a term called email apnea, which is very common, which is just going to put yourself into another stress state. So be conscious of your breath and notice it. I mean, I think that is one of the biggest things you can start doing today.
So are there resources that that you would direct people to? Can they go to your stuff, or are there books that they could read, or
Yeah, you
other
can go to
things?
our website, Symmetry, www.symmetry.live. We have a ton of free resources on there. We have a book reference list, a bunch of different books. If you want a basic book on breathing, that I think is great. It's James Nestor's book, Breath. It gives a lot of information. And I think that's a good place to start. But we have a lot of free resources on our site, symmetry.live.
Cool. And the final question, what would you consider to be your definition of health, wellness, and illness? So maybe 3 different definitions.
Health, wellness, and illness.
Yep.
Illness would be incapacitated, not live up to, do the things that you want to do. Health, I look at, or we'll say health and wellness. That's interesting. I look at it, I would say, on a good old Laird Hamilton quote, since you already mentioned him, don't be a liability. Be able to go out and do anything, whether that's go hike with your family and friends, throw the ball in the yard with the kids, do a hard workout, go swimming. Be able to move and do things in life, and not let your body and your mind be a limitation. And let's see, what wellness.
Would you consider, I guess what I should ask you is, do you consider there to be a difference between health and wellness?
I would consider those the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think maybe you could be healthy without necessarily thriving. I would think wellness is thriving in every. Yeah. That's what I kind of think of it as, is like you're really thriving in every aspect of your life. That's wellness. Like you're happy, you're sleeping well, you're fit, you're gaining, like you're getting stronger, not weaker. You're developing more range of motion rather than less range of motion, and you're thriving. That's what I would consider wellness,
you're not,
I guess.
You're not the average American.
Right. Yeah. And some people, I think you could be somewhat healthy, but not necessarily thriving.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Taylor, man, it's been awesome to reconnect with you. And I really hope that people will reach out to you and check out your YouTube, because, man, if you are experiencing angst and anxiety and stress to a degree that is more than normal, you're not the only one. I think a lot of people are experiencing that, particularly right now, particularly these few months leading up to the election, of just unknown. You just don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And I think that's putting a stress on a lot of people. So there are ways that you can deal with it. And it has nothing to do with politics. You can just breathe, right? You can
That's
just
right.
breathe.
It's a good start. Can't do anything about the other.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you might as well not even worry about it. But, the breath. The breath has been something that has been a foundation in my fitness and my health, and that's why Taylor and I first connected. So he's got a lot of really good resources. If you're interested in that and how you can take control of your own health and fitness, go check him out. All right, Taylor. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
I really
Tom.
appreciate it. We're going to get together one of these days.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Roll Tide, even though my daughter goes to Auburn.